Hi, thanks for joining. I just wanted to make an announcement about my campaign, and for people who have stood with me from the beginning when I started my campaign in June 2019, you'll know what I was up, why I was doing this, and what I was going to face. I was going to take on, I am taking on, the Conservatives figurehead for the North East, the most well-funded politician in terms of marketing and how much is spent on their PR campaign. And what a lot of people said at the time, and still say, the biggest political battle in British politics right now. And I didn't take on that lightly. I took on that battle because it matters, because since the age of 24 years old, for the people who I fought for in the Tees Valley, for the lives that I have seen impacted by poverty, impacted by a failed government, 11 years of Conservative cuts, and seeing our high streets decline and our transport system left behind. I've worked with people who have literally had everything taken away from them. I've worked with people who have no carpets on their floor or food in their fridges, children with no beds in their bedrooms. And I took on that fight. I took on the biggest fight in British politics because I fight for them. I fight for each of those people, and it has not been easy at all. Firstly, we went through a general election, then we went through a Labour leadership selection, and then just as I was launching my campaign, we faced a global pandemic like we've never known, and obviously all campaigning was cancelled, and a real mishandling again by our government has meant that there has been so much need in our communities, our businesses that have been fighting for survival, people who have lost family members. And I had a choice on that day when the election was postponed for a year. Do I disappear or do I keep on fighting? And I rolled up my sleeves and I kept on fighting for the Tees Valley. I kept on fighting for our people, for our businesses. I knew that people would fall through the net, and I joined and set up campaigns to support the food and drink industry, and I set up platforms to help connect communities, to support people to take action. I set up the Tees Online, which is an online platform to shed good news, and yet I've faced smears, I've faced attacks, like you wouldn't imagine, but I kept on fighting, and then we were just able to campaign again just a month ago, if that, and then 2 weeks ago my sister came down with COVID. My mum has now got COVID, my niece who I live with, and I thought that I'd come through it, but I've now tested positive for COVID as well, and it means that the next 10 days where I've had hustings organised, I've had door knockings, I've got Keir Starmer who was visiting me on Thursday, we were going out to communities and meeting businesses, will all have to be postponed, and I wanted to go live because I wanted to ask you something. I wanted to ask you, I can't now physically get out and campaign. I haven't really been able to in a year, and the only thing that I have got is social media. The only thing that I've got is this way that I'm speaking to you. So I want to ask you to help me get my message out there to the people of the Tees Valley, because what I am bringing is genuine change. I'm going to be changing our transport system, enabling people to get buses so they can get from A to B, improving our housing stock, tackling the rogue landlords that are seeing people living in awful conditions, in standing with our workers and ensuring a better deal with great jobs guarantee, in bringing investment, in investing in our small businesses so that they can thrive, investing in our young people so they can get those jobs of the future. My manifesto is a manifesto of hope, and it's a manifesto for the future, but I need you now to help me get my messages out there online. I can't knock on doors, I can't look people in the eyes and tell them that I will fight with them. I can't speak to even my next door neighbour, and it's difficult. And one of my team said, I don't know how you keep going, Jessie. And actually at the same time I just had a message. It was a voice memo. It was from an 8-year-old girl, and she said, I want you to be our mayor. And she said, I want you to be the first female mayor, and I hope that you win. And you know, that voice of that 8-year-old, it reminded me of every conversation that I have had with people who've said, I hope you win, and the messages that I've had from people across our communities who felt left behind, who felt neglected, who know that they need a better way. I fight for that little girl, and I fight for every other person who needs a different way. And finally, I just want to say this before I sign off. When my colleague said to me, how do you keep fighting? I also recollect every day the people whose lives that I fight for those children who don't have carpets on their floor or food in their fridges or beds in their bedroom. And I have seen people who've gone through so much worse than what I could go through. I don't know how ill that I'm going to get. My family have been quite poorly with this crisis, and they're not through it yet. But I've seen families who have lost everything. I've known women who've been gang raped. I've known women who have lost their children. And so nothing that I've gone through in this campaign, and nothing that I will go through, will ever amount, no matter how ill that I might get, it will never amount to anything that I have seen people get through in the Tees Valley. We are the most resilient and brilliant people, and so so they are my strength. And over the next 10 days, I'll be fighting online for this campaign. As I said, you know, I've tested positive for COVID. It means that a lot of what I was hoping to do, I won't be able to do, and a lot of visits and getting out into the community will have to be paused. I'll have 6 days left if I am well enough at the end of this isolation period to get back out there. So thanks for checking in. I didn't know any other way to let people know what was happening other than through this. But please, if you want to support me during this time, just help me get my messages out there. And thanks for joining me tonight.